Gordy and Burke. They're going to lead us in our oath, and after that, we will have our opening prayer.
I'm Tim Blair. Welcome to the Clay County Times-Democrat Weekly Web Update, brought to you by Piggott State Bank. Piggott State Bank, serving the region since 1930, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender. We're actually coming to you today on Friday the 22nd, a beautiful day considering that we had a bit of a mini ice storm late yesterday afternoon and evening, but it's cleared off quite a bit. Earlier today, as you may have seen from the earlier highlights, we had the Area 1 Special Olympics competition, basketball competition held at Piggott High School. I'm glad to have all those folks from around Northeast Arkansas visiting us here in the region. Well, checking this week's almanac, of course, it is February, and the old folks say fogs in February mean frost in May, and we had some fog overnight. But things have cleared off beautiful. It's going to be nice. Checking the weather forecast, it is going to be fairly well a good weekend. A little bit of rain expected on Monday. Now here on our ClayCountyTimesDemocrat.com, the website, you can find the weather forecast right down there most days. Well, it's a good time to start your onions out inside. Of course, here as spring begins to get even closer, they'll be ready to move outside in April then. Of course, the old timers say that onions started from seed rather than sets. They're a little firmer at harvest time. It's also a good time to start your parsley indoors, along with broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, celery, peppers, and tomatoes. Almanac indicates February 28th to March the 15th will be the best days to start your lettuce indoors as we get ready for the gardening season. Now, the moon's continuing to wax about 85% today. Our next full moon will come about 2:28 p.m., just before 2:30 p.m. on Monday, February 25th. Also interesting this time of year, sun up to sundown, we're getting longer every day. In fact, from yesterday when sun up was 6:42, sunset 5:47, to next Wednesday when sun up is 6:34, sunset is 5:53, we'll pick up 14 minutes of sunshine in about a week. Checking this date in history, of course, this was the second day in 1971 of a massive outbreak of tornadoes across Mississippi. Left some 123 people dead across there. So that was one of the highlights in history. Of course, looking at some sports highlights in history, this is the anniversary of the Miracle on Ice. Lake Placid, New York, the American hockey team beating the four-time world champion Russians in the semifinals, actually, of that. That advanced them to the gold medal game, which was held 2 days later, in which they beat Finland for the gold medal. And, of course, this is also a racing season. It was on this date in 1959 that Lee Petty won the first Daytona 500. Of course, if you know your NASCAR history, Johnny Beauchamp was named the winner, went to a call. They gathered information. 3 days later, Lee Petty was named the winner of that. Of course, the racing season officially kicked off Thursday with the Twin 125 qualifiers from Daytona. The annual race is Sunday. History will also be set then, as Danica Patrick will start on the pole, first woman to start from the pole. And with the start of the racing season, it's also a good time to remember local, longtime stock car racer Charles Morris. He passed away recently, and of course he'll be missed by many folks as they start to open the tracks around the region. Number 54 Morissette Racing Team, and Charles Morissette, he'll be missed greatly. Well, highlighting stories in this week's print and online editions of the Clay County Times-Democrat, The concert at the Rector Community Center was a big success Saturday night. Big crowd was on hand, and Ryan Rogers has all the details. We also get an update from State Senator Robert Thompson on the plans to build that billion-dollar steel mill at Osceola. Robert goes over the details on that. He also tries to give us an idea about how that will impact the job situations here in Clay and in Greene County as well. We've also got a story on Piggott native Annette Dudka. She was recently named the county administrator for the Department of Human Services here in Clay County. Ryan also has a story on former Rector resident April Skurlock. She was recipient of a scholarship from the National Federation of the Blind, and that story also goes into how she's working to overcome her loss of sight. Also stories about the Young Authors Program at Hemingway Pfeiffer Museum and Educational Center here in Piggott, the Piggott Elementary School archery team qualifying for the state, and in sports, we'll have all the information on the elimination games as our local teams have all ended play in basketball. As at this point, the Marmaduke Lady Greyhounds, the only team still in the hunt, and they will be advancing to their own state tournament down at Marmaduke High School. Ryan Rogers will be covering that for us as well. We have a story on the Mohawk baseball team's fundraiser. They're getting set to begin their regular season Monday at Brooklyn, weather permitting, and Coach Hearn and them put together a fundraiser. We have all the details in the print edition and in the online edition. But topping the local sports this week, congratulations to Lady Mohawk Holly Holcomb. Holly signed her letter of intent to continue her education and play volleyball at Crowley's Ridge College next fall. We'd also like to remind you the next edition of our quarterly Crossroads magazine. That'll be coming out next month. We're also working on some other great things like our annual farming tab. That will be, the farming section will be coming out in the March 21st edition of the Clay County Times-Democrat. We want to hear from you. You can post comments on our Facebook page. We appreciate those that we've gotten so far. We'd also like you can email us. We want to hear about it from you as we put this together for you, and we want to please our readers. That's what it's all about. And with that, we complete another edition of the Clay County Times-Democrat Weekly Web Update, brought to you by Piggott State Bank. Welcome your comments, and until next time, this is Tim Blair reporting for the Clay County Times-Democrat and cctimesdemocrat.com.